Welcome to the Introduction to Using AI, specifically ChatGPT, in the TESOL classroom. This course is designed for any level of teacher or qualification. However, we anticipate that you've never used AI or used it very lightly and would like to know how to specifically use it for the TESOL classroom. So why do the course? Confidence. You'll know how to use AI and feel confident enough to sort of explore with it as well and experiment. You'll also know what your students know and how they are using it for the classroom. Easy preparation. This takes preparation to a walk in the park, a doddle, a piece of cake. It will make preparation so easy, it's give you a lot more time. You have much more personal time, so you can decide how you use that. It's a foundation to build on. Once you've done the course, you'll be able to understand how ChatGPT works for you, and you'll be able to experiment and do more different things with it that help you. It's a transferable skill set. Once you can use one AI, the rest are pretty similar at this point. Of course, there are exceptions, but generally you'll become more confident with all of these AI programs. What is it? Good question. It's a very fast learner. I've been using it for 2 years now. It's learnt how I work, the language sets I prefer. It's improved significantly in all areas. Who knows where this is going to end? Think of it as a very smart assistant, a gopher, your personal dog's body, the person there who's designing it and whose sole aim is to make your life easier by doing all the low-level thinking tasks that you just get bored of doing. It's a data processor. It pulls information from every part of the net and puts it together for you. Generates language. ChatGPT particularly is superb at creating novels, recipes, horoscopes, different types of tasks, comprehension questions. Anything to do with text, ChatGPT is very good. It can write your essays. I'm sure you've seen these already, submitted by your students probably. It's a pattern predictor. It will learn to predict your patterns and the patterns generally used on the web. It's knowledge. You don't need grammar books anymore. You don't need methodology books really, except in the sense to give you ideas of what the possibilities are. A few myths versus realities. It will replace teachers. Personally, I think absolutely not. However, the role of the teacher is changing. It cannot replace that individual knowledge, anticipating and responding on the spot to students. What it does do, arguably, is give us more time to give high value teaching rather than spending all the time in and around setting up different tasks, etc. It doesn't always give the correct answer. Be careful. Check and double check. It's definitely not infallible. Learners using AI are cheating is a common discussion around this. And yes, maybe they are cheating, whatever that means. It's complicated, but the fact is our students are using it and we need to use it too. And we need to know what they can and are doing with it. The way round this is how we design our tasks. It can't replace personal experience and it's pretty hopeless at critical thinking. So there's a lot of room left. So yes, we accept students are using it, but they're not replacing us. I hope by the end of this course you'll be absolutely clear that it's not too technical for teachers. In fact, it's really not technical at all. Okay, the drawbacks. It's, as I said, it's not accurate and it's not always reliable. Be very careful. It doesn't have pedagogical judgment. You know your students. You know how far you can push, you can pull, you can challenge where they're at. It has none of that. It doesn't understand your context, your culture. It's very limited by this. There is a risk of over-reliance. It becomes a very easy tool. The argument is it going to stop us actually from thinking for ourselves? I don't know. In this course, all I can do is show you some of the possibilities at this point in time. How you decide to move forward from there is your decision. There is limited interactivity, so it can't engage with your students in terms of groups or pairs. It can't respond as an authentic partner with them at this point. There are ethical and privacy concerns. Where the information come from, how is it used? Be aware that whatever you put into it becomes available to everybody. Equally, the information you get from it has come from other people, and we need to be aware of that. How can it help you? Lesson preparation can be done in seconds. Once you learn how to use it and the prompts, this is easy. Materials design. Again, learn how to use it and it will create the materials you want at the level, the length, the difficulty, everything that you decide. It can help with assessing students. It can build tests. It can identify, it can give feedback. It can mark the tests. It can identify, it can create tasks that focus on helping students where they failed in the test. It can arguably help with student engagement through creating student-centered tasks. It can definitely help with correction. You can feed in written work and it will give a detailed feedback analysis. It can help you with information. If you are unclear the difference between I live in Paris and I am living in Paris, present simple versus the progressive, you can ask ChatGPT, you can ask for an explanation, you can ask it to test your knowledge. You can do anything like that, really. So grammar books are a bit of a thing of the past now. You're having trouble in your classrooms, a student talks too much, you've got problems with discipline, students are off task, ask it. Ask for its opinion and it will give you opinions and suggested ways forward. So, it's a set of tools, sometimes blunt, sometimes sharp. The sharp ones you can still cut yourself. And it's changing by the hour. It can enrich your classroom. It can bring variety. But, like all these things, you can use a set of tools to make the same things over and over again, or you can use a set of tools to create new things. That, in a way, comes down to you. It can improve your class, your efficiency, but I think particularly in the preparation stages, for sure. It can, it frees up time. You can decide where you want to allocate your resources, your personal resources of time, of energy, materials. It can make life a whole load easier, but double-edged sword, be careful. Okay, how to set up ChatGPT? It's very easy. So this is the link, cut and paste the link and move to your favourite search engine. So I'm going to put the link into Google and enter. And the one that you want is the official GPT from OpenAI. That's the one we use. Okay, so I have an account, so it's taken me in automatically, even though I've signed out. However, you will have a page before, but this is what you just put in some details and you come to this page. So I'll show you how it works. We put everything in this little box. Give me a definition of a good TESOL teacher. Let's have 100 words max. We don't want to read too much, so we put everything in. And what we put in the chat box is called a prompt. Okay, so that we prompt the chat or prompt the AI. So we've got this lovely definition of a TESOL teacher. Now, we can share it. We can try again. Let's see what happens if we try again. Adding detail or more concise. I've told it to add detail and it will adapt the text. You can decide if it's a bad response or good response, and in this way chat will learn what you like and will taper more to your responses, and you can copy it. Okay, we'll look at this a lot more in moving forward. Okay. We can certainly use AI to help us teach grammar, but there are two parts at least. We need to know the language ourselves to feel confident, and we need to know the different ways that we can approach grammar in order to get the best prompts. So let's start with our own knowledge. We need to know the rules of the target language. If it's grammar, we need to know where our students are going to struggle. So we need to be able to anticipate problems the students will have with the language. And ideally, we'd like to be able to test ourselves so that we can go into the classroom feeling really confident. I'm going to try dictating this and let's see what happens. I want you to teach me about the second conditional. I need to understand the meaning, form, pronunciation before I teach it. And I would like you to create a test for me as well so that I feel I know it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you're not talking directly to it, but it generates the text if you feel you just want to sort of sound it out rather than type it all up. So it's given me sample sentence and it started with the form, the past simple. If I won the lottery, I would buy a Porsche. Or if I bought a Porsche, if I won the lottery, I'd buy a Porsche. I'd buy a Porsche if I won the lottery. The meaning, it's about imagining. It's not real in this situation. Connected speech. There are weak forms. Okay. Mini practice for me. So test your understanding. Fill in the gaps. It's asking me to write 3. Okay, so I'm going to say, test my teacher knowledge of the second conditional. Let's see what happens, okay? So it's created a test for me. And it will provide me model answers if I want them. Okay, so the idea is it's testing my competence. Do I feel ready to teach this to my students? Okay, yes. I'm pretty good with the second conditional. So in order to get the best prompts, it helps if we know a little bit about the different approaches to teaching grammar. So deductive is the first one. You put the language on the board and identify the rules, tell the students the rules, and then ask them to try activities that show that they've understood what you've told them. Inductive is you put the language on the board and you ask the students to see if they can work out the rules. So, for example, I've known him since last year. I've known him for a year. For equals a total of time and since is a point in time. PPP is a presentation, practice, production. It's more of a lesson model But the teacher stands at the front and gives a little situation, often with pictures, explanation, highly contextualised piece of language. Then the students practice and they produce it. So controlled practice is the second P, and theoretically a freer practice is the final P. Task-based learning for grammar, the focus is not so much on the grammar as on the task. So, for example, we want students to tell us about their first day at primary school. So the task would generate by itself the simple past. And so we use specific task design in order to practice particular points of grammar and feed in the grammar as is needed in order to do the task. Consciousness raising, noticing may be a little bit more than inductive, in that often the language is embedded in text, reading or a listening text, and the students are asked to notice how the language is used and what it achieves. So generally a higher level class for this. Communicative lexical approach, similar to task-based. We want students to perform an act of communication. For example, it may be ordering a Big Mac in a McDonald's and the language and grammar that they will need in order to achieve the task. So in this way, we're focusing on the act of communication and the language needed to do that. So 6 very different types of lessons, not definitive, but they cover the most parts. So we'll have a look at those now on chat. So create, a deductive lesson for since. Okay. So it tells us how long it is. So in this way, we're telling the students the for and is for duration and since is the starting point. We've got examples, we give them controlled practice and another practice. So we're moving down so that finally they're doing a freer practice of the language that we've presented. A classic deductive lesson plan for and since. Okay, create inductive lesson plan for comparatives. Okay, let's have a look. So inductive meaning students discover the rules for themselves. We're going to show 2 pictures, so that's for setting the context. They have the language. So in this way, they have to work out the rules. Probably need more examples than that. Underline, yeah. So this is about the form. And I would say, yeah, they will probably need more rules, but the same thing. Then a controlled practice, semi-controlled and freer. So very much an inductive lesson plan for comparatives. Okay, give me a PPP lesson for the 3rd conditional. I would have married him if he had asked me. So we know it's upper intermediate, absolutely. So PPP, so here we are, typical PPP, teacher stands at the front with a picture, they're contextualising it, they pull out the language, lots of meaning check questions. So meaning and form are done on the board really, then we move to controlled practice. Students often have a problem with this. I mean, it's one of the sort of, if I had studied harder, there's a lot going on, I would have passed the exam. When you introduce this the first time, they're always forgetting words, mixing up the clauses, all sorts of things are happening. Okay. Remember, you can ask ChatGPT to anticipate and solve the problems that your students may have with this language. Okay, so let's have prepare a TBL, task-based learning lesson, for causative have. I like this. Causative have is I have my hair cut every month. So it's when it is a passive. It's a nice little structure at a higher level. When we talk about things that are done, we have done for us. Okay, so here's our task, role play, planning a busy day using different services. Students try the task, then they're given some language analysis, then they repeat the task to make sure that it's better. Pure TBL, great, all organised for you. And okay, lesson plan for past, simple, irregular verbs in context of school life. As you can see, the prompts are getting less and less and less. It's learning. Most students need pre-intermediate, they just need practice with irregular verbs. They kind of know them passively, but our job is to try and get them to practice far more and to activate that knowledge. So, oh, I forgot to tell it was a communicative lesson. All right, so let me try. Make this a communicative type lesson. There we are. And we've got communicative. So to go back, it's useful to know our lesson types. Deductive, we give the rules. Inductive, they work the rules out. PPP, we present the language in a contextualised way. Task-based, students do a task, we give them the language to improve, they redo the task. Conscious raising, noticing, they see how the language is used, usually within text. So much more contextualised than deductive or inductive. Communicative or lexical approach, we focus on the act of communication and feed in the language as it's needed in order to complete the communication task. In this section, I want to look at how AI can be used to create lots of different types of activities. It can be short activities that you feed into your lesson to up or down the pace or give a little bit of variety, or it can be a whole lesson. So, it can be used for controlled practice, very, very good at creating controlled practice activities with the right prompts. It can be used for grammar, for lexis, vocabulary, function. It's very good with this. And skills, including speaking skills. Obviously, the listening, it could produce tape scripts, but you will have to convert that into a listening task. However, speaking is quite interesting, and writing as well, if you figure a way to get the writing into the ChatGPT, which we'll look at later. There are limitations, of course. Please check what it's doing, and the better the prompt, the better is what you will get out. Create. Let's start at the beginning. 5 icebreaker activities for a class. That is appallingly typed. Let's see if you see? And it's created low prep as well. It seems to be psychic today. Adaptable to age and language. Okay, so most of these are familiar. 2 truths and a lie. Find someone who. Yeah? Would you rather? So these can be designed more for language learners or for a general classroom. So let me try this. We find someone who, so create 10 possible questions for TESOL class B2. Let's see what it comes up with. So there we are. Nice. If your brain is completely fried and you can't think who to put in a find someone who, you've got it there. So great for getting to know you. Okay, let's try now with a sort of general lexical set. So create 5 tasks at, let's go C1, on the topic of health, alternative health. So I've narrowed 5 vocabulary tasks. Okay, so 5 vocabulary tasks at quite a high level, upper intermediate, on alternative health. Now, you can also take the themes or headings from your course books if you're using a course book, feed them in and see what activities come up that can support the work you're doing with the course book. We've got collocation match, nice. I like this. Students discuss using at least 3 of the target words. So discussion, straightforward old-fashioned gap fill, support vocabulary by a sort of distinct discrimination task, word formation. So that's at C1 level. Obviously, you can create this at any level that you want. As a side note, do the above for a 1-to-1 class. Because a lot of us teach 1-to-1 and sometimes we get stuck in a bit of a rut. So it's quite nice to have some activities that you can do with a 1-to-1 class. So same kind of thing, same topic, same level, but they've been adapted to 1-to-1. So that sort of gives you some idea what can be done with vocabulary. All right. Grammar. Give me 5 grammar practice activities for the present perfect for experience. So I'll nail it down a bit. It would help if I got anywhere near close on the spelling. Okay, 5 grammar practice activities for the present perfect for experience. Have you ever? Okay, so that's going to be like class mingle, class questionnaire. Again, experience bingo is going to be similar, just a slightly sort of, you're walking around trying to tick off to get a bingo card done. Okay, find someone who, chain stories. Ready to use, so design a ready to use worksheet. Okay, so let me see what happens when we do as it's offered. Here's our worksheet, warm up, bingo. Okay, find something. So it's been turned into, and you can have that formatted as a PDF. I would say that the formatting for chat is not brilliant. It's very, very dull. I often cut and paste it out into Word and then make it much more visually attractive. But it gives you an idea how you can create activities for you. Remember, I limited this to 5. Okay, activities. So, give me 5 speaking tasks on the topic of the environment. Now, I haven't put level in, which is probably a major mistake, particularly if my students are very low level, but the environment discussion, particularly with vocabulary, might be set at pre-intermediate anyway. Okay, so we've got agree, disagree. So I would say do the above again for A2 level. Let's see what happens. So much more simple, much more appropriate. There are. Simple words, plastic bags. Yes. So it's toned it down lexically to A2 level. So feed in the level, the number of students, and as much detail as you can about the language you want used, and you'll get the activities. So speaking, grammar, lexis, and getting to know you. Put in what you want and see what comes out is the best advice for this. So in conclusion, the better the prompt, the better the materials. The more information you can give AI, the better it will to produce stuff. So in this module, I'm looking at how ChatGPT can help you create a whole series of lessons that are tailored to your group or individual lessons and their plans. So before going to the main part of this, it's worth knowing that ChatGPT can complete plans that you've half written, and it can assess plans that you have written. So it can complete and it can work with completed plans in order to give you feedback on the effectiveness of the plan, which I'll show you now. This model lesson plan that's actually we've been using in our Mastering Lesson Plan course, which is another course. So it's got all the main details, which we'll come back to in a minute. It's got all the group details. It's got the language I want to teach. It's got my aims. It's got the language problems. What is missing is the procedure. Okay, so I haven't worked out the procedure. So I'm going to take this plan as it stands. It's quite detailed, obviously. It was a demo. Copy it, and I'm going to put it into ChatGPT now. So here's the plan. I got it all in. Yes. Okay. Complete plan for procedure in communicative style. Okay. 50-minute lesson. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we've got the procedure in the communicative style, and it's given us interaction patterns, materials, the name of the stage, the aim of each stage, and the timing, and laid it out very nicely. Okay, and this is in the communicative style. Right. So now, oh, we're still going. All right. Oh, they'll even draft me a whiteboard plan if I want it. Okay, so assess this lesson, including the procedure. Let's see what happens. So it's going to assess the lesson for me. Ooh, it's having a good think about this. Oh, okay. So coherence, balance of skills, aims, alignment, timing, teacher role, and possible improvements. Very interesting. There are different criteria for lesson plans against which you can assess your plan, and we look at that in the lesson planning course. But for the moment, this is useful. Potential weaknesses. Yeah, so I would say it looks on a very quick read that the timing is very tight. So I have to go to plan, but there's a risk of rushing the students, I would say. But it gives you an idea how ChatGPT can assess your plans as well as complete work that you've already done. We We know that the information that comes out is only as good as the information that goes in. So these are your prompts. So for really good material, you need all the basics. Age of students, makeup of the students, background, how often they meet, if it's a series lessons, timetable fit, what was taught before, what will be taught after, if you know it. And the most importantly probably are the learning goals of the group. Now, if you want that expanded on, you can, guess what, go to ChatGPT. What information do you need to create a series of TESOL lessons? Let's see what comes up. Oh, I like it when I'm getting told I have a great question. So, slightly different. Context and learners' age, class size, background, learning needs. So I think I would also call that what type of class it is, business, conversational exam. Overall goals. So definitely for a series of lessons, we would need to know what type of class. Is it IELTS class, etc. We're going to look at this approach in a minute because these are important. You need to know your approaches in order to get the best prompts. Materials, I would be very careful here. Although you can give the ISBN number, the ChatGPT is not allowed to reproduce the materials and you're at great risk of breaking copyright law. So I would not refer to published materials. Classroom resources, yes, whiteboard, etc., no problem. That's interesting, breakout rooms if online, so very important nowadays. So linear build-up or modular design. So that's for a series of lessons. How do you want the lessons to connect to each other? Okay. So all of this you can find easily on AI. Okay, as well as building your prompts and having all the information to hand, it's really, really useful. We just touched on this before about knowing about the lesson shapes. If you can state the shape of the lesson that you want, you'll get a much better prompt. So we've got the classic, we've touched on this a bit before, so we won't spend too long on it, but I will show you how you can check. So PPP, presentation, practice and production. ESA from Jeremy Harmer, engage, study, activate. TBL by Jane Willis, task-based learning. The lexical approach, Michael Lewis. Test, teach, test, not ascribed to anybody particularly. And Dogme or emergent language, which is the work of Scott Thornbury. Now, I won't go into too much detail, but what I will show you, is how to remember these. So, give me a breakdown of each of these lesson shapes. Okay. So you probably have your favourites. We all have ways of doing things. And I would suggest that's great, but also experiment a little bit more. So what's another approach to trying to achieve the same thing, really? So you can find out how everybody's doing everything. The more modern ones, I suppose Jeremy Harmer's is one of the newer ones, and the Dogme is it's a reinvention really of community language learning, but it's very interesting and quite different in terms of traditional EFL, TESOL teaching. So you can work out for yourself. So let me create a test for teachers on the lesson shapes. So if you want to test yourself, there we are. It's quite interesting, isn't it? If you're a teacher trainer, it's quite a useful task to use with your trainee teachers or your fellow teachers. Okay, so lesson shapes for teachers. Knowing your lesson shape will help inform the type of lesson that you're going to produce. It will help inform your prompts. Do one. So let's create a series of 6 lessons. So create 6 15-minute lessons to bring a group from 5.5 IELTS speaking to level 6 speaking. 10 people in group meeting once a week. Have whiteboard. And have smartboard. We'll give ourselves a smartboard. Want homework? 1 hour per week. Okay, let's see what we come up with this. All adults. Okay. So it's a mini course. I don't think we will get them up half a point in IELTS in just 6 weeks, but let's have a look. So a nice outline here of possibilities. Okay, so I'm not sure if I like the way they've broken it up. Personally, I would say, okay, so repeat above, but use integrated methods. So I personally would rather not see pronunciation sort of cleaved off. Okay. All right, so much more. All right. I think for me, I would want to pick and dip a lot. Okay, so I'm going to cut and paste this. Yeah, I will develop a full lesson plan for this. Okay, so let's see if we have a teacher ready first lesson plan based on, there we are, so we've got lesson aims. They look quite good. Introduction with a twist. I have to make cue cards. Band descriptors. Okay, so there are worksheets. So I would say create the worksheets for the above. Okay, and it will create the worksheets for us. You can download them, but they're not very attractive. They're probably better cut and pasted out. So give you an idea how to create a range of lessons and then narrow it down to having one lesson. Okay, all right, let's try something else. So let's try create one 15-minute lesson, diagnostic for all skills and language at around B2 level. See what happens. So it's done it as a group again. I should have said that this was one-to-one. So its approach has been to test all skills. So we've got a speaking test, we've got reading. So create a reading for task 2. And sometimes you have to ask for this, but it's created the reading at B2 level. It's given the gist and the comprehension questions, and it's looked at the vocabulary. It will give you the answers as well if you want. Okay, so you can go down to that kind of detail. Grammar and vocabulary diagnostic. Let's try this. Give me a grammar diagnostic test for what? Where am I? Section 4. Okay. And of course, I definitely would check these, your materials. I think in this case, it's going to give you an idea of what you could do for a test. So that shows us how we can go from the macro to the micro quite easily. We can create a series of lessons, then take one lesson, get an outline, then create the materials, create a detailed plan, and that's all done for us. A nice one is summer school teaching. So create 10 3-hour lessons for oral fluency and vocabulary development for a teenager. From Spain, male, 16 years old, interested in football, sport, and bit of a stereotype, isn't it? And wants to study business in the future. Okay, let's see what happens here. So create 10 3-hour lessons. So I would say, yeah, the better the context, the better the... Okay, nice. We're talking a lot about football, health and fitness, meeting an advertiser, business basics. Okay, so let me take number 5 and say create the materials for a 3-hour lesson, and I will pop that in and let's see what happens. Okay, it's broken that down much more, given us much more detail. We have a vocabulary task, gap fill, speaking task, a role play. 60 minutes. I'm not sure. A a young French lad would go 60 minutes in a role play, but hey, why not? Discussion, case study. All done for you. So from macro to micro, it all depends on your classes, the information that you put in, and you can get out what you want. So AI can assess your plans too. Lesson shaped knowledge builds better prompts. So the more information that you can give it, the better the information you will get back. But it's surprising what it can do with very little. In this module, I want to look at how we can use AI to correct learners' work and give feedback on it. So to start, let's look at the limitations. So ChatGPT cannot process audio sound. All you can do is record the students, create a transcript, give the transcript to a chat, and it will treat it as a text as opposed to an audio. So the limitations are that it won't be able to give feedback on any of the elements of sound, intonation, word stress, sentence stress, pace, timing. What it will do is give you feedback on it as a text in how it's constructed, the use of language, etc. There is some software being developed that deals with spoken English and gives some correction, but it's still very much in the early stages at this point. Okay, so things that it can do in terms of written work. It can work with different genre very easily. You can ask it to do different things. It can identify and change register on text, no problem. Go from very formal to very informal. It can look at cohesion and coherence in text. Does the text make sense? Is it running in a logical order? Is it glued together correctly? It can look at the grammar. Is the correct grammar used? What should be used? What could be used? The same with lexis, with vocabulary, with function. It will identify and improve that. And it can deal with content. It can summarize content. It can give you the key points. It can change the content. So it's very, very good with written text. And that's when it's great for feedback. However, it's definitely limited on the spoken. So before we go to chat, let me just remind ourselves about giving learner feedback. So the students have given you a piece of written work and you want to process it. So I would suggest start with an overall comment. Highlight the key areas for improvement. 1 or 2 areas is usually enough. Highlight good work. We don't do this enough with our students. Tell them what they've done well. Summarise for 2 or 3 developmental points going forward, areas to work on. Include positives in your feedback. This is a letter from a Chinese student about B1 level, possibly heading towards B2. Right? So I want it to correct the above and identify the errors. Okay, so may have actually already done that. So here we are with the errors identified. Okay, so it's shown us. So summarise the 3 top developmental points for the writer, for the student. So the 3 top developmental points. Oh, come on. Okay. So as part of our feedback, we would be looking for the student to work on verb tense accuracy, word form, and the clarity of formal style and writing. So interesting. All right, now I would say summarize the good uses of language. There we are. So, polite tone, clear structure, effective expression of emotion and impact. And it gives examples as well, which is high value. Okay, so write a summary feedback for student. Include developmental points, good points, and a summary, positive summary. All right, so a very nice piece of feedback there. I like the feedback because it gives examples and it's done for you. So lovely. Okay, so if I want to take it forward a little bit more, I could say create a 10-point test on the errors made. So we often give students feedback and then it kind of dies in the water. But this kind of 10-point test allows us to go back to the errors in a different way. This doesn't have to be done in the same lesson or in the same time. It can be done at other points. It's quite nice as a recap or to put this in a summary test after a few weeks. So we've got verb tenses, correct the sentence, and then we've also got choice, choose the one, and a more open question, formal or informal. So a nice test that recycles the errors made in the letter. It can, like I said, it can be done immediately or afterwards. This is a different type of letter. This is a problem. Well, I'll let you read the first paragraph. So it's a student describing their first day in a language school. Okay. So correct this letter and correct the tone. Identify and correct the register, Identify the register corrections. Bit of a clunky prompt, but let's see what happens. So its approach has been to, interesting, so it's offered a better letter and it's corrected the register and explained why. It's quite nice. Overly ornate, flowery opening. I would say that the student may have problems with the vocabulary of flowery opening. You might need to find another way to express this. So this is interesting. This is where the AI is talking to a native speaker but has not graded its own language for a language learner. So our students are going to have problems with the word deferential, clumsy, possibly awkward, emotive, flowery, ornate. So this is one of these cases where we have to be careful of the stuff that AI produces. This would not necessarily be helpful for our student. So I'm also asked, would it like me to annotate the original letter line by line? That's fine. Okay. So create a 10-point exercise on the register issues in the letter. Let's see what happens now. Okay. So it's asking the student to rewrite it more neutrally. and then it would give feedback or model answers on that. So you've got a task on how to rephrase and what to rephrase and why. Very nice register task. All right, so create a summary feedback for the student on their written. Now let me see if AI has learnt. Yes. So we've got, yeah, very nice. So AI has learnt how I want it to do feedback. Nice opening, some points to improve overall your, I think I might want in there, so add some positive uses of language to the above letter. So it has learnt to a degree, but not that I also want it to be positive. Yeah. So that's really nice. I think the student would be very pleased to get this. How to improve. It's worded in a nice way. We've worked on the positives, showing that the student, can do really good things, and a nice overall comment. So, yeah, that's a response to a letter that's really in the wrong register. This letter, have a look. What level would you think that was? So I asked ChatGPT to create this letter. It's a witness of a mugging, the report that they made. And I asked it to set the level at C2. So this is very, very high level, which is always, interestingly, a big problem, or not always, but often a problem for teachers, trying to work out what's actually wrong. Even as a native speaker, I struggle with this. So, correct the language in this. Let's see what happens. So slightly okay. Highlight the errors made. No, I can't spell highlight. No, still picked up. Ooh, lovely. Look at this. C2, language becomes a debate, an attitude, an opinion, and the students may not take this on board, but at least they've got the possibility of discussion. I like that fell awkwardly is cleaner. Yeah, that feels possibly not a teacher word for TESOL. However, it makes sense. So, this tack has run away in an incredible velocity is the wrong preposition. I would say that's the wrong word as well. It should be with incredible speed. So, I'm not sure that that's a preposition. So, old story, check, check, check. Create side-by-side version. This certainly helps for the analysis, and this is a great way of doing the noticing so students can work it out. Okay. Again, you can create a test, create learner feedback, include positives, developmental points. I love the way it can cope with my terrible it's not really spelling, it's typing. Rewrite the feedback as if I were a teacher marking your work. Okay, let's see what happens when we follow that prompt. So it's decided that I need a teacher style. What went well? Even better if. Oh, that's a really nice phrase. Even better if. Good. So you can obviously choose the feedback style that you want. Out of interest, you can add a grade band. So add in IELTS. That one I do need. IELTS score and Cambridge and GCSE level. Let's see what happens. Should be pretty up there on the IELTS band. IELTS is thought to be 7 to 7.5. Ooh, I would have had it at 8, but maybe that's a slight lack of consistency in tone prevent it from reaching band 8. Okay, a debate for sure. But as I said, at this very high level, things do get more debatable. I haven't taught GCSE, so I'm not sure. Those of you who are experienced with it, you can tell me later. So, and of course, we can create the tests based on the writing as well. Lots and lots of things. So any written text feedback and ways to improve and test built on the errors can be built in seconds. So in conclusion, AI is definitely limited for now on spoken errors. Watch this space, it'll probably change within the next few hours, but it is great for written work. And you can create super feedback for your students with minimal effort. So we've looked at AI and how it can work with lesson planning materials, but it's much, much wider than that. So we can use it for classroom management issues, give you a lot of ideas on how to approach common problems. We can even use it to get a pay rise and career questions and directions, just to give you a flavour of how you can broaden out. So for classroom management, how to stop students using their phones in class. Okay. You'll notice my own spelling mistakes. It seems quite good at decoding my appalling typing. So it is prioritised, I would suggest. Set clear expectations early are definitely the first thing that you could do. It's given us 7 steps or 7 options to choose from. And it's also offered a classroom contract template so that you can send it to the students and you can work out the best way as a group, the rules for the group. So very nice. Okay, so how to stop one student always calling out the answers. Oops, my spelling's bad, but sometimes it's too bad. Okay, so a classic classroom situation. So I personally would say that nominate. So ask who's going to answer. A little tricky one to do is if somebody puts their hand up, ask them to nominate the person to answer. That way everybody is kept on task as well. They're not sort of sitting back thinking, oh, he or she will always answer, so I don't need to do any of the work. Okay. So nomination will be my favourite, but we've got 8 different ideas there, and we're offered a script we could use in a one-to-one chat with the student. Nice. All right, so how to get a pay rise. Let's see what it says. The prompt is very loose. If I was doing it more carefully, I would say how long I've been teaching, what things I can do, what's the, when was the last pay rise, etc. However, the information's still good. Prepare your case. Work out, why you have increased your value, what you've done. In a sense, you're preparing yourself for the argument with your boss. Research your market. Choose your moment, not before morning coffee, possibly after morning coffee is better. You know your boss, you know what works better for them. Yeah, think about your plan B. And in this case, we've got a draft of a sample script for further ideas. Okay, so that's getting a pay rise. And then what can I do for my career? Next. Have been teaching 5 years. Okay. So, chat's offering you a career roadmap. A very interesting activity you can do is put in a job description and your CV and ask chat to write you a letter of application that bridges the advert and your CV. It's happening, and that's definitely a way forward for job applications these days. And also, for example, where are most TESOL teachers getting jobs now? So let's have a look. So it's slightly ambiguous, or it's thinking. Okay, so, and here it's told us where it's got its information, which is, now that's new and that's good. So this has come from careers.tesol.org. China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand are hiring most teachers. So if you want a new job, that might be the place to go. Talks a little bit about online teaching. And of course you can go down those. It's summarised for you. And it's given you options as to how to move forward. Now, excuse me, you can imagine, I have a friend who uses this to help him with his dating. He has ADHD and he finds it difficult to interpret other people's actions. So he uses it to assess where the woman he's dating, what she may be thinking. Maybe not everybody's answer, but it gives you an idea of the sheer range of possibilities. So you're now at the end of your Advanced TESOL Skills Masterclass course. We produce a range of courses for experienced teachers. So these courses are designed for teachers with at least 2 years teaching experience. They're designed to have immediate impact. You take the course, you use what you get from the course into your classroom the next day. So there's less on theory and much more on practice. Fantastic preparation for advanced exams like the Cambridge Delta and for moving into more teacher support roles. So basically looking to move further up the TESOL ladder, this is a brilliant grounding for you. Our idea is that you get better retention, you get better student feedback, so you get more finances are easier and you get more time to yourself. Teachers work too hard. They need an easier life is our belief system. So these courses are designed to offer you that. Okay, our courses include Masterclass in Lesson Planning for High Impact Teaching. So these are all the ways, this is a two-part course. In one, it's how to read lesson plans so that you know where the faults are going to be, where it's going to work, where it won't work. And then also how to create lesson planning in order to have student-centred dynamic classes. Error correction. The reason for this is you get immediately better feedback from your students because your knowledge and your skills increase with this course. Masterclass and high impact reading. Reading can be a bit of a bug in classes. It can be boring. This shows you how you can make it dynamic. You can get language from it. Students will want to do it, and also show you how to produce materials very easily. ChatGPT to transform TESOL teaching. This is designed more for teachers who are not too familiar with AI. They want to know what their students are up to and how they can use it to transform their classrooms. It's certainly very, very useful in the planning stages. Classroom management. How do the great teachers make a great class zing? What are they doing? What are the techniques that really keep students on task, engaged, and giving you very good feedback? So keep your eyes open. We are always developing more courses. Let us know if you've enjoyed this or not, and what other courses you'd like us to design for you. Enjoy.